We in the North believe that to advance in technology is the future, because we have infertile soil, a cold climate, and very few small farms, so we rely on large factories for most of our money.
But us in the South depend on farms for the money and could care less about the advancement in technology. Hello, and today we're going to talk about how Northerners thought that blacks should have been treated the way they were.
The South felt that African Americans should not be considered free citizens.
The South thought that African Americans, free or slave, should not have been allowed to sue in the federal court.
The North felt that African Americans should be considered a free citizen in the U.S.
This is a story about Dred Scott, and a story about traveling to the free part of Illinois with his master and heading back to Wisconsin, only to sue for his freedom.
The federal court said that just because he was in a free state doesn't mean he was free. He was still considered property.
Unfortunately, Dred Scott's request was denied, and he never was able to become a free slave.
So basically, since Dred Scott had a master, he was considered property. Because of this, he cannot go anywhere or do anything without his master.
Today's news, we are talking about the election of 1860.
As a result of Lincoln getting elected, South Carolina seceded because they believed their economy and way of life would be destroyed. Without slavery in the Mississippi, Florida, Alabama, Georgia, Louisiana, and Texas followed from the Confederate States of America. Lincoln made no effort to hide the fact that he opposed slavery. He also gave speeches about how slavery should be kept in the states it was already allowed.
The North point of view on the election was that they were glad about Abraham Lincoln getting elected because they believed he would keep slavery contained so it would eventually die out, and thought it was fair because more people voted for Abraham Lincoln even though the North had more people.
The Democratic Party was badly split because they were disagreeing if slavery was allowed in new territories. So because of that, the Democratic Party could not decide on a presidential candidate.
Okay. Many people who opposed the spread of slavery joined the Republican Party, which had formed in the early 1850s. The Republican Party made Lincoln as their presidential candidate. The South did not believe in Lincoln, however, the North fully supported him. With the Democratic Party in a mess, Republican Abraham Lincoln won the presidential election on November 6, 1860. This was the election of 1860, and goodbye.
Everyone, my name is Mark, and today I will be joined by my good buddy Rico Villanueva. Hello, Rico. We're going to be discussing the topic of culture and economics in the North and South.
Hey there, Mark. How about we start this discussion talking about the jobs in the North and South?
Okay, go for it.
So most of the jobs in the South are based around agriculture because of their fertile soil and warm climate.
Unlike the South, the North's climate supports smaller farms and big industries, making the job of choice being an industry worker. So I think the next thing we need to talk about are tariffs.
And what a tariff is, it's a tax on imported goods, and since the South was mostly farming, there was no need or want for the tariffs, since it made it harder for them to pay for goods and subsidized factories in the North.
And the North favored tariffs because it protected their factories and laborers from cheaper European products.
Which brings up another issue the South had with tariffs. The money raised from the tariffs went to fund coastal defense in the North.
The North loved the tariffs because they had money to spend on public projects such as lighthouses and coastal defenses. Can you see both of us?
Yes.
Okay, good. Everyone, today I'll be... Shut up.
Can't go.
Can you, stop?
I'm going down the stairs.
Hello Hello, Cloud High School. I'm Emery Burgess, and we will be talking about the Fugitive Slave Act of 1850.
Hello, Cloud High School. My name is Ryan Burton. I'm here to support the North and talking to you guys about how slavery is inhumane.
Hi, I'm Hayden Hudson. I'm studying middle school history at the University of Art, so I'm going to be talking about the South today with Ryan Burton alongside with me.
Ryan, tell us what you think.
I think that all humans should be treated equally no matter the race or gender.
Very interesting. Why do you think this should be this way?
I think it should be this way because if white men have so many opportunities and freedom, then black women and men should too.
Okay, let's see what the South has to say about this.
Many of you know that the South is suffering financially because they don't have as many factories coming from because they're all growing in the North, so they're not having as much money.
Very interesting. And I understand that people who hid or helped runaway slaves could be fined $1,000 and 6 months of jail time. Very interesting. And I understand people who hid or helped runaway slaves could be fined $1,000 and 6 months of jail time.
Abolitionists in the North used stories from James Hamlet and Anthony Burns to gain sympathy for their cause to end slavery.
Yes, in a lot of ways, the Fugitive Slave Act divided the country instead of united it, and the South was hurt, not helped.
Thank you for all your time and information. While the Fugitive Slave Act of 1850 helped the South preserve slavery for another 10 years and end the Civil War.
I'm Hayden Hudson.
And I'm Ryan Burton.
We'll see you next time on
CHS Network.